Nurse saves tourist's life with CPR, 45 minutes later she's suspended, then the director walks in. It was just past noon when the summer air over Central Park shimmered with heat, and the sounds of distant laughter mingled with the screech of bicycle tires. Birds rustled in the trees, a saxophonist played near the Bethesda terrace, and in the heart of it all, people meandered, tourists with cameras, joggers in headphones, lovers on benches. It was a typical New York afternoon, until the screaming started. Emily Parks had been walking home from her shift at Lenox Hill Hospital. Her backpack bounced lightly against her back, her scrubs wrinkled from a 12-hour shift. She was tired, bone-tired, but the kind of tired you push through when nursing is more than a job, when it's a calling. She hadn't even made it to 72nd Street before she saw the crowd forming near a bench by the lake. "Someone help. He's not breathing." Without hesitation, Emily dropped her bag and sprinted toward the cries. A man, maybe mid-50s, pale and sweating, was sprawled on the grass. "A tourist from France," someone shouted. His wife knelt beside him, sobbing in a language Emily couldn't understand, but pain has a universal dialect. She knelt and felt for a pulse. Nothing. She didn't ask permission. She didn't wait for backup. She started CPR, compressions deep and rhythmic, breaths slow and measured. 1 minute. 2. The sirens were still too far away. 10 minutes in, she felt her arms begin to ache. At 15, her knees screamed in protest. At 25, someone tried to take over, but they weren't trained. She shook her head and kept going. 30 minutes. Then 40. People began to cry, watching her battle death with bare hands and unrelenting will. At 45 minutes, the paramedics arrived. They shocked his heart. Once. Twice. He gasped, and his chest lifted. He was alive. The crowd erupted in cheers and tears. The man's wife threw herself around Emily, sobbing thanks. Someone caught it all on camera. Someone else whispered her name. But Emily didn't stick around for applause. She washed the sweat from her face with a bottle of water and headed for the subway. She didn't expect a medal. She didn't even expect a thank you. She just didn't expect what came next. 45 minutes later, Emily sat in the nursing supervisor's office, her ID badge clipped awkwardly to the edge of her shirt. Across from her, Mrs. Hastings, a woman whose expression rarely shifted from polite disdain, folded her hands. "You left your assigned post without authorization," she said flatly. Emily blinked. "I was off the clock. I clocked out." "Yes," Mrs. Hastings said. "But you were still in uniform. You performed a medical procedure without following hospital protocols. I saved a man's life." "I understand that," Mrs. Hastings said, without a flicker of warmth. "But we cannot allow staff to act independently and place the hospital at liability risk. I'm afraid we have no choice but to place you on temporary suspension pending review." Emily stared at her. "You're suspending me, for performing CPR." Mrs. Hastings looked uncomfortable. "For leaving the premises while in uniform. That's all." Emily stood slowly. "Understood." She walked out of the office, the words burning into her back like coals. Outside, the hallway felt colder than usual. Nurses whispered as she passed. Someone had seen the viral video, already over 200,000 views and counting. They looked at her like a hero. Management treated her like a liability. She sat in the empty staff lounge, numb. The walls pulsed with the hum of fluorescent lights and vending machines. She didn't cry. Not yet. The door opened. A man stepped in, crisp suit, dark hair graying at the temples. Emily recognized him immediately, Dr. Marcus Langston, the hospital's director, who rarely left the upper floors. He carried a laptop under one arm. "Emily Parks." She nodded, rising instinctively. "I watched the footage," he said. And then I called the paramedic team that responded. Emily said nothing. He opened the laptop and turned the screen toward her. The video played, shaky hands, panicked voices, and in the center of it, her. Bent over a lifeless man, her face set with purpose. I saw something extraordinary today, Dr. Langston said quietly. You did CPR for 45 minutes straight. That's unheard of. I didn't have a choice, she whispered. You made the choice to act. That's what makes all the difference. He sat down beside her. Do you know what that man said after he regained consciousness? Emily shook her head. He said he felt hands on his chest and warmth in his lungs. He said he saw his wife's face, and then a light, and then your face, and he knew he wasn't going to die. Emily's throat tightened. Dr. Langston continued, he's alive because of you. And that video? It's everywhere. National news outlets are running it. CNN. ABC. Everyone wants to talk to the nurse who wouldn't quit. She smiled faintly. Great. I'm suspended. Not anymore, he said. Your suspension has been reversed. Effective immediately. Emily blinked. Seriously? Not just that, he added. You're being formally recognized in a hospital-wide ceremony tomorrow. You're getting the Florence Nightingale Medal. She froze. That medal wasn't just a pin. It was the highest international award a nurse could receive. But I only did what anyone else would have done. No, he said. You did what only someone truly extraordinary would do. And you reminded all of us why we became healers in the first place. The ceremony the next day was small but moving. Staff filled the atrium, many holding candles. The tourist, Jacques Moreau, flew in with his wife, Claire. He stood with tears in his eyes as Emily received her medal. And then, he approached the podium. I came to America to see skyscrapers, he said in a soft accent. I did not expect to see angels. He turned to Emily. You gave me more than life. You gave me time, to hold my wife, to meet my first grandchild, to write the book I thought I'd never finish. You gave me a future. His wife held up a framed photo, a baby girl with a red bow. She is named Emily, Claire said. The crowd gasped. Emily felt her knees wobble. After the ceremony, a nurse from ICU approached her. I saw what happened in the park, she said. I've been burned out lately. Thinking about quitting. But you reminded me why I started. Thank you. More staff came forward. One had started a food drive in Emily's name. Another volunteered to teach CPR in local schools. Her single act had ignited dozens more. A chain reaction of compassion. Emily went home that night to a mountain of messages, strangers thanking her, people sharing stories of their own loved ones saved by CPR, teenagers asking how they could become nurses. She sat on her fire escape, watching the stars peek through the city haze, her medal resting in her palm. But it wasn't about the honor. It never had been. It was about humanity. About choosing kindness when no one is watching. About listening to the pull in your chest that says, act now. Do something. In the weeks that followed, the hospital implemented a new policy. All employees were empowered to act in emergencies, regardless of location. Emily was invited to speak at national nursing conferences, sharing not just technique, but heart. And Jacques. He sent her updates every month. Emily's first smile. Emily's first steps. One day, a card arrived, simple and elegant. Inside, it read, because of you, she has a grandfather. Because of you, I believe in miracles. The world is filled with chaos. Pain. Noise. But sometimes, in the middle of it all, one person stops, and chooses to care. Emily Parks did not wear a cape. She wore scrubs. She didn't save the world. She saved one life. But sometimes, that's all it takes, to remind us all of the power we hold. The power of one person to change everything. And that is enough. Would you like this formatted as a script for narration or video voiceover?